Hey, it's Brooklyn Faith. How are y'all doing? I'm doing good. I'm chippery and feeling happy and all that good stuff. Basically, just because I love God and He loves me. I mean, life is going good, but that's pretty much what I'm happy about. Um, I am in the process of remodeling my trailer, so that's why it looks like this. So bear with me. I'm real. Uh, I was thinking about this morning in my prayer time about free will and how it gets us in trouble. And that the opposite of free will is giving my will over to God and letting Him do with it what He chooses to do with it. So I don't know about you, but I fight that process. I fight the process of giving God my will. There are days that I don't want to be a good Christian. There are days that I want to be a bad human. And, one thing my mind tells me is that Christianity ain't cool. And I want to be cool. You know what I mean? So God was talking to me this morning about my self will and free will, however you want to say it, and how I need to give it to Him to do with me what He chooses. We're going to look at the Bible about what it says about these topics. Um, the first part we're going to look at is what a man looks like when he's living in self will, when he's living for himself, not living for God, but when he's living for himself, what that looks like. And being in free will can come in many different forms and fashions. Um, I know for me, it can come with me not talking to God anymore, being rude to people. Uh, what else? Smoking. Yeah, I wasn't able to quit. I'm still smoking. Please pray for me. Anger. All that stuff. So, it may show up in you differently, but it's there. You've got it because God gave it to you. So, let's look at the first example of what free will looks like on a person. So, it is Proverbs 26:12. Seest thou a man wise in his own conceit? There is more hope of a fool than of him. So what that means is when a man thinks he's wise, when a wise man thinks when a man thinks he's wise, a fool who's the opposite of a wise man has more hope than the wise person, the person that thinks he's wise. So we're talking about arrogant people, we're talking about cocky people, we're talking about boastful people. Anybody in those three categories. It doesn't have to be all three, but anybody in those categories. Someone that knows it all. Someone that condemns people and tells them they're wrong all the time. People like that are in this category. And I have been in this category of thinking that I was wise in my own mind. And it says in the Bible that wisdom that comes from heaven is pure and it's peace loving. And that's not the wisdom that I had. The wisdom I had was condemning and harsh. And it was worldly wisdom. I'm trying to get godly wisdom now. Basically the goal is to basically speak just in Scripture. That's like basically the goal. Live Scripture and speak Scripture. That's the only time we're going to make it righteously. You know what I mean? So, go to, let's see, Matthew 26:39. we're going to see in this scripture that even Jesus had free will. And I want to read it to you before we talk about it. But he says he's in the Garden of Gethsemane and he's getting ready to be crucified and betrayed and crucified. And this was his prayer to God. Oh, my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt. And that's an example of showing us that Jesus even had self-will. The difference between Jesus and me on most days is that he always said God's will be done, not his. You know, he was begging God, please, don't make me go through with this. Because Jesus knew what he was about to be encountered. And he was praying, please, God, help me not go through with this. And he said, but nonetheless, your will, not mine, be done. And that's the key right there. We have our wills for one reason, and that is to point it in the direction of God. That's why we have our will. That's why he gave us our will. To choose to point it in the direction of God. And poor Jesus, even him, we prayed that it wouldn't happen. Poor Jesus. But there's another way that people that are acting out in free will, what they do. And we'll look at that. Go to 2 Corinthians 10:12. For we dare not make ourselves as ourselves of the number, or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves. But they are measuring themselves by themselves, and comparing themselves among themselves are not wise. So to compare myself to myself, and to compare myself to other human beings, is not wise. And people that are doing that are living in self-will. So we're supposed to compare ourselves to Jesus. And what that does is keeps us humble and gives us a clear picture of where we are in life. You know, how close are you to acting like Jesus? You know, and not just acting like him, but being like him. You know? Here's another one. Philippians chapter 2, verse 3. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind let each esteem better than themselves. So, vainglory, thinking that you're Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so, doing things for vainness. Whether the way you look, or what, you know, your accomplishments, all that is for vainglory. And so the key to not having self-will is to just relinquish your will to God. You know, just pray, God, take me for who I am, and relieve me of this bondage of self, and do with me what you please. And then after you pray that prayer, don't complain about what happens. You know, be grateful for what happens. Because now you know you're in your Father's hands and he's doing good things for you. And remember, this life is not about this life. This life is about the next one. So don't get down and discouraged about today or tomorrow. You have to think about eternity. to keep it in perspective. So, that's the lesson for today. I thank each of you for tuning in, and I will see you soon. Thank you.